What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Crying in Baseball, a baseball podcast. I'm your host, Logan. We are once again joined by my good friend Ash Youngfeld. How you doing today, Ash?
Good. How are you, Logan?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to break down this national signing right away. So where does this what are your first impressions of this signing?
My first impressions are that the Nationals have a vision for this team, and
Hmm.
they're going with it. I think they're trying to definitely hit more home runs this year. You saw that by them trading for Josh Bell and now signing Schwarber. In a full season, 2 years ago in 2019, Schwarber had an 8.71 OPS with 38 bombs,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's like high level hitter numbers. And even though he struggled this year with only 36 hits and 191 at bats. 11 of those 36 hits were home runs. So uh, you could see what the Nationals are trying to do with the signing.
Yeah. I mean he's a big powerhouse hitter. So like, what? And he's replacing Adam Eaton in the outfield now. Now the outfield's Soto, Robles, Schwarber, but it used to be Robles, Soto, Eaton. So, Eaton and Schwarber are two very different players. What do you think about that?
So personally, I know a lot of people are going to think Schwarber is kind of a downgrade in terms of fielding to Eaton, which I personally don't think is all that true. I think Eaton's a bit of an overrated defender, and I think Schwarber's kind of underrated because people see him as a liability out there. And although he's not great, he's not awful. In terms of them being different players, I think that's what the Nationals are trying to go for, with a good mix of more contact hitters and more of these power guys with Schwarber and Bell.
Yeah, and speaking of Bell, so with they just signed Bell, or they traded for Bell. They just signed Schwarber. Where does this put them, in your mind? They got two good players. Does this, where do you see the Nationals in this division?
Uh, in terms of this division, I think they can be competitive and kind of close to the Mets. I personally still don't see any of these teams competing with the Braves. I have them above the Phillies and Marlins, though. I think this throughout will be a competitive division, but I think this signing and then the acquisition of Bell is a big step up for the Nationals.
Why do you have them above Phillies and Marlins?
So with the Phillies, they're probably it's almost for sure that they're losing Realmuto, and Gregorius is a free agent, so I'm not going to count him as a part of the team, obviously. So
Mm.
I see like the Phillies haven't done much this offseason to replace them or fill the void that they left, and all the Nationals have done this offseason is improve. And the Phillies, their struggles have been bullpen and starting pitching, and I think over the past couple years, that's been the national strength, obviously kind of barring bullpen, but it definitely is an improved bullpen though.
Yeah, because I mean the Nationals, they are a good team. I mean, Soto had an incredible year last year. Not I mean 2019 was amazing for him. But I mean 2020, what do you have? He played 47 out of the 60 games, was out the first half for COVID. But he had 13 home runs. His OPS was 1.185, like 6 point or point 0.6 or 0.695 slugging. This is a phenomenal player on a mediocre team, and now they had Schwarber and Bell. That's a lot of power. So could do you think theoretically they could battle with the Braves for the top?
It really depends how their depth does, especially their three or their 4 5 starters and then the bullpen. If they can
Hmm.
get production out of those guys, maybe. I think the national strength is if they get to the playoffs, right? Obviously, every team wants to.
Yeah,
I think the Nationals will be a much better team in the playoffs because they can shorten that rotation and that bullpen.
yeah, and that rotation and bullpen, that they've kind of got that set. They kind of have had that locked up for a while. So do you think that the Mets also have a Cy Young caliber pitcher, DeGrom, Scherzer. Do you think that what kind of records do you see them having, the Nationals and the Mets?
Yeah, like I said in the Francisco Lindor trade podcast, I think the Mets are anywhere between maybe that 88 to 95 win range, and I think the Nationals. I really think they could be anywhere. I think top end they're around a 90 to 93 win team, but I think they could bottom out as a team that finishes below 500 if these hitters, like those depth hitters, don't hit.
Yeah, that's very true. That really has seemed to be the national strength for a while is, their depth hitters. Now, with the Cubs are now without Schwarber. Who's going to fill in that gap for the Cubs?
Uh, there's a couple different options. Obviously, you'd assume you know Hayward's going to be in outfield. You know Happ will be in center. In terms of who will play left, I'm pretty sure they designated Mark Zagunis, who played a role on the team 2 years ago.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily see a perfect fit right now. Potentially they move Bryant permanently to left to open up the spot at third, but I don't think there's necessarily a perfect fit for the Cubs. I think they are a team that's gonna need to sign an outfielder. Eddie Rosario was immediately rumored to them. I wouldn't mind that. The weird thing
Yeah.
is that so the Cubs they obviously let Schwarber walk, but the contract that they would have offered to him was 1 year, $8 million, and the Cubs apparently didn't think that's what he was worth. And then Schwarber hits the open market and he gets 1 year, $10 million. So I think that's a bit of a weird move by the Cubs. I don't
Yeah.
know, like if they just thought the market for Schwarber wouldn't be there. But you think just bringing him back on another year and hoping he does well and then trade him at the deadline would have been a better option. But I guess they just didn't think he was worth the risk.
Yeah, and maybe it's just me, but 1 year, $10 million for, Kyle Schwarber. I know you can't judge too much on, this last year. This last year was weird, but I mean, a 188 average, 11 bombs, like almost in 36 hits, like almost a third of his hits were home runs. That's worth $10 million? Like, I'm not sure.
I feel like I said earlier, like the entire Cubs team didn't hit last year, and I'm not trying to make
Hmm.
that as an excuse for Schwarber, but
No, yeah.
Schwarber the 2 years prior, 2018 and 2019, he's never going to be that high of an average guy, but an 823 and an 871 OPS is really good. So I think it's a low risk, high reward type signing, especially on a 1 year
Hmm.
deal. And I didn't really think there's many better options for the Nationals in the outfield. And like I said, I think they're obviously just trying to hit more home runs this year.
Yeah, I mean the Nationals, they don't have a ton of money to throw around because, I mean on the market right now, like Michael Brantley is like a better Schwarber in a way. But, like I'm not sure if they could really, afford those type of guys and stuff. So where where does this, how does this affect Schwarber in the future? If he has a good year, do you see the Nationals bringing him back?
Well, I think Schwarber's kind of betting on himself with his signing. I don't even know if there's a team that was giving him a multi-year contract. But
Hmm.
I kind of see this as him like expecting himself to have a bounce back year and then hit the open market again and get more term and more money. But obviously, if he does have a good year, the Nationals would like to bring him back. But it really depends on if he has a good year, what would he be asking for?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's been in the league forever. He's only 27 though, which is kind of crazy to me. Um, so now he's on the Nationals. The Nationals traded for Bell earlier in the offseason. I'm pretty sure on Christmas Eve. What do you think of that? What do you think of, Josh Bell on the Nationals?
Uh, Personally, I think Bell will be a solid fit in the lineup. Obviously, that first half of 2019, he was playing at an MVP level, and really since then he's struggled a bit. That could be like him maybe being in a different mindset at the plate, or teams just learning how to pitch to him. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't. They didn't really have to give up too much to even get him. I think it's another kind of lower risk, high reward type trade. I think they kind of, if they want to compete with the Mets and maybe even the Braves, like I said, he's going to need to perform well. Maybe not that first half of 2019 level, but he's going to need to hit.
Yeah, I mean that's what really comes down to with Bell is, t 2019, All-Star game nominee, all this stuff, 37 bombs. Like, that's I mean, the Nationals are taking a bet that this past season was a fluke and that the future will bring back that 2019 Josh Bell. Do you think that, that 2019 Josh Bell can return and, for how long?
Um, I don't think that I really don't think that he'll be able to get to that level again. But that doesn't mean
Mm,
he can't be a productive hitter. I think what we saw last year, I feel like he can definitely outperform that. I think he's a guy that could be around an 800 to 820 OPS and hits home runs, which is what the Nationals are going to ask him to do.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. And, with the Nationals in the future, I mean, they still won the World Series in 2019. And it's kind of crazy to think that, they fell off so far this previous season, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Schwarber, Nats, how many wins you see them getting this year?
I see them honestly as a. I think that they're a weird team because I could see them being really good or even just being mediocre. I think they top out is about a 93 win team, and I see
Hmm.
them bottoming out is a below 500 team, like around like 75 to 80 wins.
Okay, yeah, 75, 80 wins. So do you think, the NL East is going to be competitive? Do you think that puts them in a position for a wild card?
See, it's really hard to say because you almost assume already that that first wild card spot is locked up if it's either the Padres or Dodgers.
Hmm.
So I think they could be competitive for that second spot. I wouldn't necessarily say they're a favorite for it, but I think if they can get those depth guys going and Bell and Schwarber are able to hit, I think they could definitely compete for that second spot.
Yeah, I totally agree right there. Well, Ash, it's been a good convo right here. We want to thank you for listening to episode 3 of Crying in Baseball Baseball Podcast. Thank you for listening. See ya.
Peace.